so many lives I don't ruin just over something stupid. I don't even know why I'm beefing with them. I don't have no reason. I just joined the game, and I had no reason. It didn't make sense to me. So at the time in the county, I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I'm in here. At the time, I'm thinking I'm finna do 25 years. That's the sentence that you feel me I'm facing. So I'm thinking that's how much I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the next 25 years of my life in prison for a man I don't even know.
Police arrested a 16-year-old for attempted murder. Police say the shooting happened on East 6th near Little Caesars. Jattathias Hodges is accused of shooting at the victim last Friday. The victim is expected to be okay. Hodges is charged as an adult and he'll be in court next month.
And you heard correctly. He was just 16 years old when he shot a rival gang member, also 16 years old, back in 2020. And man, is he lucky. Although they tried him as an adult, they agreed to the plea deal. Instead of attempted murder, they agreed to second-degree burglary and injury of a second degree. Can you believe it? Willful injury. And look, I don't know. They did. He was facing a maximum of 10 years. He's up for parole after serving just 5. He's not even of legal age to drink yet, if you can believe it. Do you think that he's ready to get out? Do you think that this type of sentencing is a way to approach crimes by those who commit them when they're just 16? He still looks like a baby. Well, this is what parole hearings are all about. Let's jump in and let's see how he does, and I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
That puts you in a position to be incarcerated?
My mom was locked up when I was 5 years old. So my brother and sister dad raised us. And then basically I ended up just, one parent household, so many kids in there. Kids wander off, so I end up wandering off into the streets, and then just end up joining a gang when I was like 8 or 9. Just ever since, just been doing stupid stuff. Been in and out of jail since I was a juvenile. This case. Are you going to speak about this case?
This case, but just as you were going into, things going out of control, not having the proper home, basically we describe that as dysfunctional. So with the dysfunctions that was going on, just give us, in your words, what took place that led to you being incarcerated.
Oh, I was saying, it was being afterwards. It was so many times I got caught. It was like my dad was like, "Hey, we can't keep doing this. Like, either you gonna straighten up or you can just leave." So I chose to leave. I ain't want to go to school, none of that. So when I left the house when I was like 12, 13, I ended up leaving. So my homie, he let me stay with him. So, and we was both, you feel me, 13 years old, gang banging. So, and I wanted some money, and because that's what I needed or whatever. He was staying with his mom, but his mom got so many kids and she can barely make ends meet. So we just started robbing people together to get money. And I ended up getting, this case, I ended up getting caught really for just, it was, I don't even know why. I didn't even need to rob the person. I just got greedy or whatever. And my homie was just like, man, we might as well just rob the person. So I'm like, yeah, all right, what we got to lose? Feel me? So we ended up robbing the person, whatever. And we ended up getting away with it. Well, we thought we got away with it. We ended up getting away. Then I ended up leaving to Muscatine because I had another homie that stayed out there. He said there's a lot of money out there. So I went out there. I ended up seeing someone we was beefing with, another gang that we was beefing with. And then they started shooting at us and I shot back and I ended up hitting one of them. And then I ended up getting caught like 5 days later. I was sitting in front of my the mother of my child's house, and they just came out of nowhere and locked me up. And right there, when I was being sentenced, the victim's mom, she looked at me and she was like, "I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you. I'm a God-fearing woman, and I hope God touches you when you're in prison." And at the time, I wasn't really thinking nothing too much of it, but at everything in that courtroom that happened, I ain't think about nothing no one else said, but besides her. And then I ended up meeting this dude in here, older gentleman. His name was Smooth. He's been down like 22 years. He got a life sentence. And he used to talk about God in the cell all the time. And at first I wasn't trying to hear it, but then he started quoting something out of the Bible, and it kind of caught my attention. I started listening. At first I was watching TV, and I took one of my headphones out and started listening to him. And I'm just listening to the way he feel and how his energy was brought up after he just lost his sister. The Bible just brought life into him. So it made me like interested, like, is this man just crazy, or like, can God really do that? So I got interested. Me being young at the time, I was 18. He took me with him to church. They got a church here. Not even the first 3 minutes, I fell in love with the Lord. You know what I mean? It was so much, just the energy alone from everyone in there, the way they were, like people in there losing every day. Someone passes away. Like tomorrow's not promised, and there's people in there that lost family members, lost someone close to them, and they just go to church and it's like they let it all out. I see grown men crying in front of another grown man. And in the world, like where I was brought up, you don't never do that. I'm seeing this happen, and it's like a place of peace, a place where you could let everything go. And I just thought to myself, like, if I had something like this in my life when I was younger, that uplift me instead of telling me what to do, something I didn't even need to do. I could have really went to school and got a job instead of robbing people. And Smooth has a life sentence for something he didn't even do. He was just there. He ain't tell. So they gave him a life sentence for just being there and not reporting a crime. And he tells me every day, like, I ain't mad at my situation, but you got another chance. And just ever since that, I go to church every Wednesday and Sunday. It's me and him. Was him, but he ended up passing away. Now I'm going on my own. So it was like little stuff like that. Met more gentlemen there too, that are good souls too, older gentlemen.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hodges. I'm feeling you on that sharing. And the thing that is really poignant from your explanation and your sharing is some humility that is coming from you. And that's a nice place, for, your potential prepared journey that you are looking to embark upon. With that being said, you mentioned about the gangs and got caught up into it and got caught into the crossfires of eventually, acting. My question from that, not necessarily that situation, is just about the gang involvement. When was the last time that you personally put in work for the gang? We're talking about the Black Savage life, correct?
Savage life.
Savage life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's part of the labeling. Did you have any other ethnicities in that group?
Oh,
Or was it primary African American?
yeah.
So that's why Black Savage life came about. If that makes sense now a little bit.
Black savages is the ones I caught my case on, like I shot at. And then with Savage Life, it's just too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Savage Life.
But Black Savage was created by it's like a Hispanic and Black game. Savage Life is just predominantly Black.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that correction. Appreciate it. But when was the last time for the gang you was associated with that you put in work?
Say when I was 18 years old, about 18, before I moved into Sale with Smooth. So yeah, I was 8. I was 17. I was juvenile unit still on juvenile.
Okay. Okay. And what helped you to determine that that was the last time you needed to put in work for who you were associated with at that time?
You just see who your friends is. Like I could have been home a long time ago if I wasn't fighting or reacting on every little thing. People that encourage me to go to the hole and don't go home to my daughter. You don't want you too worried about something that like we have no control. You worried about another person. You know what I mean? You want me to jab him? I don't even know this person I'm fighting. Like what did he do to me? Like, you know what I mean? So after that, I just sat in the hole and I was just thinking like, I'm done messing with them. This be before I even met Smooth. Like I was just like, I'm cool. Like I don't wanna I'm trying to go home. Like, y'all not really my friends for real. If y'all wanna see me go to the hole all the time. You know what I mean? So like they stopped messing with me. I think that was the last time. I was sitting in the hole by myself for 20 some days. So
Mhm. Thinking goals and planning and having that opportunity that, Smooth talked to you about where you have a chance. What are some of those goals that you have for yourself that is different for you today than it was prior to, when you weren't listening?
Before I ain't had no, like I was in love with tattooing, but I never really was going after that. I didn't really care for it. Like I cared for it, like just art period. I just didn't really have time. It was either you want to play with tattoos or whatever, and I couldn't even get a tattoo machine unless I robbed somebody for it or robbed somebody for some money to buy a tattoo machine. So it really wasn't in my at the time really big thing, but now like I really want to tattoo. I want to go back to school for gaming engineering and then arts in college. That's one of my goals, and I want to open up my own studio shop, whatever, kind of like a gaming side and then a tattooing side, in like the same building. So like it just like be a peaceful place, you know what I mean? And then like every Sunday, we have a church in the back or something like that.
Mhm.
Come through. So that's my goals right now.
I appreciate you sharing that because when you were initially talking about being out on your own, 12 and 13 years of age and, kicked out of the house and school was an issue, you didn't care for school. Hearing you talk about wanting to further your education to establish your own business, that's a start. So exploring that, to pursue that is the ultimate. So thanks for sharing. I'm going to conclude my questions for now. I may have some later, but what I'm going to do is see if my colleagues may have something to share with you as well. Jesse.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, good morning. How you doing today?
How you doing, sir?
Good, thank you. There was also mentioned besides Savage Gang was the Faux Gang. I never heard of that. Where are they out of? Was there a such thing? Faux Gang?
So gang.
FOE, yeah. I was just wondering if that was a mistake or if that was marked down there because I had never heard of that either. But it's marked on your status.
Under me?
Yeah.
I don't know the folk gang.
Okay. Fair enough. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I've never heard of a folk gang.
Okay.
FO.
I was going to ask you this question, but you seem to answer it. But I'm tell you what the question was, is that stated in your evaluation that your behavior has improved drastically for the better. And I was gonna ask you what helped you along with this, but it sounds like this person Smooth kind of helped open your eyes and establish a better foundation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Was it hard when he passed away?
Oh yeah. I found out the news about 3 months later because he ended up going to another prison to Oakdale to go get surgery or whatever because he had a bad lung. Uh, and we all ended up getting the news, whatever. So we had a big thing for him in the church. Everyone came down. Almost majority of the camp was there. The Smooth, everyone knows Smooth, so majority of the camp was there.
What's the biggest thing that you remember that he told you? What's one thing that really stuck with you? Kind of like what that lady said, that I forgive you, and I know that, and that stuck with you in the court. What stuck with you was Smooth, what he said to you?
He used to always say, he used to wake up in the morning. It'd be like a beautiful morning, even though I'm in prison. I keep my head up high. And I used to get mad at him when he said that. I'm like, man, we in prison, man. Why you keep saying that? Nobody want to hear that. And then over time, I ended up waking up, start saying, every morning, another beautiful morning in prison. I keep my head up high. And after a little while, I started understanding what he meant. It's just a blessing to be alive. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He has a life sentence, so for him to say that,
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to be mad about.
You know, I had the opportunity to work in the prisons in California, and you see some of the guys that are on the lifer yard that have that same attitude. That's true faith you see right there. And, you know, you see the strength in that. And I'm glad you were able to experience that. You know, originally you were charged with attempted murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if that person that you had shot would have killed, it would change your life significantly. Is that enough for you to get the willful injury rather than an attempted murder charge? Is that enough to make you change the way you want to live once you're out permanently?
Yeah, the willful injury alone in the county, I was like, I just had a daughter. I'm like, I just want my life, this person's life, his parents' life. Like, it's so many lives I don't ruin just over something stupid. I don't even know why I'm beefing with them. I don't have no reason. I just joined the game. And I had no reason. It didn't make sense to me. So at the time in the county, I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I'm in here. At the time, I'm thinking I'm finna do 25 years. That's the sentence that you feel me I'm facing. So I'm thinking that's how much I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the next 25 years of my life in prison for a man I don't even know. I don't even know why I'm beefing with these people. None of that. Like, I just changed this person's life. I just changed my life.
Right.
So it was hard. I'm like, next time I get out, I promise you I'm moving. Like, just getting away from everything. So yeah, it definitely opened my eyes.
Good, good. Well, I have no more questions for you. You're doing very well so far. So continue on. I have no more questions. So I'm handing over to my colleagues.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Meredith.
I don't have any additional questions. I've appreciated hearing the conversation that you've had.
All right. You know, I'm gonna conclude my question, Mr. Hodges. So this is that time where you have a chance, if there's any other additional information that you want to share with us before we go into what I told you about deliberations, where we communicate about the interview, this would be the time for you to share with us before we go into that.
I think when earlier when you said something about Fo gang,
Mhm.
I think they talk about my homie that passed away. His name was Fo.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I got the rose on my hand and I got a tattoo on my stomach. So
That's probably why.
yeah,
Okay.
they must
Good
assume it was a gang. But yeah, it's a person that passed away.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate that.
Because I had to think about it for a second, like Fo gang. Yeah. Then you
That's
said
why I asked you, because I had never heard of it.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any additional information you want to share with us before we talk and communicate on your behalf?
The thing skipped, but I couldn't hear you.
Is there anything in addition that you want to share with us before we talk about this interview and come to a decision as you listen to us?
I would say I don't know if my victim's mom, I don't know if usually she watches, keeps up with me. But if you listening, I just want to thank you for everything. You know what I mean? Just little words brought me so far. Appreciate you for having faith in me. If you can hear me or not.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thank you. No, thanks, Mr. Hodges. Now you just go ahead, sit back, relax, not engage us, but just, hear what outcome we come out with regarding the interview. Okay? Colleagues, anyone like to go first?
Sure, I can. I thought this was a really great interview. It seems like he's, really taken the time to self-reflect on what got him here. And it sounds like he's made a lot of effort into trying to put changes in place that are going to help him be successful. And I thought that, it was a really impressive interview, particularly being as young as he is, that he was able to express everything that he was to us. And so I'm definitely supportive of this release plan. So I'd just be looking at the work release. I think C11P is fine, because it's just the 10 years. I see the coding recommended, the no early discharge and a mental health evaluation. And I think that's fair. I think that's really what I see as the main issues here too. So I don't know that I recommend anything else.
Okay. All right. Cool. Jesse, any?
Yes, sir. I think this was an excellent interview, and it was nice to see him articulate all the changes and all the important highlights of his life, meeting this person named Smooth and getting into his faith and just having a peace. He has a peace about him right now, which is really nice to see for somebody his age. So I am going to be a 100% yes on this recommendation to work release. Same codes that Meredith said. I might consider hopefully to add the 50A just because of age and the temptations of drinking. So
That's fine with me.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm hearing is the WRGC 11P, the 20B, and then the 40A with just mental health,
correct.
no substance or nothing. Okay. And then with the 50A. And no cognitive or anything.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. All right, Mr. Hodges, I'm coming back to you. You didn't hear from me because my colleagues did an excellent job at sharing with you what they felt about this interview. And have you ever heard somebody say ditto to what somebody else said?
No.
No. Okay. Well, that ditto means is that I am in agreement with everything that they said in your regard. I thought your interview was impressive. I had to look at your age again, man, because you 20 today?
I'm talking like 21, 21st.
On the tip, man, I have to say that I was impressed. I said, well, man, is this man 20? Because, just hearing you talk about your past, the lifestyle, how you summarized it, and, the path that you were on, the relationships that you had then, and the relationships that you established inside, Smooth being one of them. Foe, may he rest in paradise, as well, that you have tattooed on your hand and on your abdominal area. It just brings light to where you're trying to go today than where you were prior to being incarcerated. And the newfound faith, establishing spirituality and being integral every Wednesday and Sunday. Speaks volumes. And those are the things that will continue to help towards success. Also, by putting yourself around supporting people that will, have a purpose, that speaks towards what you share, as opposed to doing stuff that you don't even have no understanding of it. So, thank you for sharing that. So, what we decided is that we are in agreement with DOC's recommendation. So that would be the GCMP for the release. The 20B is the recommendation for your discharge, meaning that you will go, you will have a discharge, you will discharge August 1st of this year. So, you will go into that discharge. The 40A is mental health. We want you to continue that work because you have a lot of things that, we don't really like. We want to make sure that your mental health is in check. And talking with a mental professional, gives you the guidance, gives you understanding that it continues to help you as you are continuing to grow, in your journey, as you transition into the community. The 50A is just prohibition. We don't want you to purchase liquor, nor do we want you to get establishments that primary source of income is alcohol related. We feel that environment is not in your best interest, even though your parents turn 21. We just feel that you have a great purpose that doesn't come to face with that in your process. So avoid and do not go into those establishments. Other than that, that concludes our interview, and want to wish you well going forward.
Take care.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just share my thoughts on this case, what I thought went well, what I thought didn't go so well, and I'll give a little bit of background to the story. But first, I need to do some venting on Moses. I think he might be the only person that I know of that you can put on 4x speed. At least I can. I'm quite used to doing the 2x speed, but 4x speed and actually hear every word that the person is saying clearly. That's how slow he talks. This was Moses' hearing. The first 5 minutes I deleted completely. It was literally what another board member would say was, this is the parole process. We're going to ask you questions, then we're going to deliberate. That one line is a 5-minute monologue, which is just crazy. But okay, let's take a step back. Let's just go. Now, my thoughts on the hearing. One is, I can't help it. I like him. I like the kid. It might be his smile. It might be his energy, but it's more than that. It's also what he said. There's a few things I want to point out. Every single parole, as part of the Iowa process, before they go into deliberation, they say, is there anything else you would like us to know? Is there something else you would like to say before we go into deliberate? And I was just shocked by how many do not bring up the victim. They don't do it. And he did. And that sticks out to me. He brought up, and he called the mother versus what's his name called, and Jesse said, that lady in court. Like, come on, you're a parole board member. You really call her the lady in court, not the victim, not mom? No, the lady. He brings up the mother. He actually cares. I believe that he actually cares about that. She said, if she's watching, thank you. He said, thank you. And remember, he's just 20 years old. I was impressed by him. I actually really have high hopes, and I hope that he can be a great example, and I hope that people can watch this, and I really am wishing him well, and this can be really a blessing, and even I think an example of how the DOC worked in this case. He found the right people to mentor him. Was it Shade? Was that his name? And he ended up in the right places under the right people's wings, and it seems that he didn't get swallowed up back into the prison gang life. And there's so many positives that we could see out of this that I'm quite impressed with it. Now, I really am. I think it's amazing. I really hope that he does well. And it's a very unique hearing in that sense. Now, let me go into, I guess, some of the negatives. And I guess one is, it was just shocking to me that the parole board, if Jesse didn't bring it up, they would not have had an alcohol prohibition, which is just insane. And this is not the first time that we've seen this with the Iowa parole board. Okay, we have seen them. They'll be like, well, he doesn't have anything liquor in their jacket, so sure, why not? And then Richard will pull up notes, and we'll see that he has DUIs or other things like that. And it's like the parole board is very dangerous, in my opinion, in that sense. Lazy. They don't look up data. They don't look up stats. In Louisiana, straight up, you're on parole, there's an alcohol prohibition, period. It's just baked into the parole contract, and it should be. You cannot give anyone a reason to fall off their parole, to get back in trouble. What else did I not like about this? How Jesse called him the girl, the woman in the courtroom, not the mother. The other thing is, let's be real, he was inking up in prison, and this is the parole board, and they're sitting there talking about the tattoos, encouraging him about it, puffing him up about it, loving it, and all that stuff. And let's just remember, it's illegal to ink up in prison. That's a write-up. That's something you're not, that's breaking the rules. And if you want to say, Mandoo, you're just what's the word? You're just a square. No, this is the parole board. They cannot, you cannot reward someone for breaking the rules while they're in prison. That just blows my mind. Not to mention, he's just a kid when he's doing that. Who knows what's on those needles? Who knows what can happen? And I'm not an attorney, but imagine if he picked up something in there from the needles and then he sues the prison and then they go back into the parole hearing and see the parole board giving him high fives for getting inked up. You know, like it just seems wrong and a liability all the way around bizarre. But man, you're just a square. They're being cool. They're being hip with it. Ditto, yo. It's like, okay, you know, it's funny. He didn't even know what he didn't. I heard the word ditto, but to hear a parole board member, he never heard it. It was like they're trying so hard to be cool. And he's even bringing up the gang and he's bringing up wrong facts about the gang. And he's like, no, that's not true. It's Spanish and Black. It's not. And, you know, we actually see this gang in Utah a lot. We cover Utah parole hearings. And this isn't prevalent because the gang, my understanding, actually developed out of the state of Utah. And I guess it's grown chapters in other states. But you would think a parole board would take a minute to Google it like I did, or would, I don't know, just know more about it. This is their job. But what can you do? We know already the Iowa Parole Board is incompetent. They're really a disaster. But I did enjoy this parole hearing, and I am wishing him the best. And it's interesting too, is that they don't like set requirements. This is the kind of person that they should say, you know what, we would like to designate community service. You should go to schools. We need to set it up that the PO office will have you talking at schools twice a month as part of your, and we see that in Louisiana. And this is like, it's where you can get the touch. It's so interesting. You know, Louisiana's a big state and they still have the mindset for the parole board to mandate that someone do community service. They require it in the parole conditions. You need to do 8 hours of community service per month. Connect with your parole officer. We want you talking to schools. You don't see that. You don't see it in Connecticut. You don't see it in Utah. You don't see it in Iowa. And that's just lazy. That's just a waste. He should be talking to kids. He can make a difference. I hope that he's surrounded by the right people. It's, I think, going to be all about who he's going to go back with. And hopefully this really can be a poster child example of how the system can work. I really do hope that. Now, a little bit of information about the crime. And again, thank you, Sir Richard, for last second pulling this together. Is so he was 16 years old when he was sentenced up to 10 years for shooting a teenager in February. I do take full responsibility for my actions. I would ask if you can please give me another chance at life. He said during a 25-minute video hearing. This is during COVID. The district judge gave him credit for 240 days already served in connection with the case. The judge also ordered him to have no contact with the victim. On that note, I do have an update for you that Sir Richard found. Very interesting. Okay. He pled guilty on October 13th to willful injury and second-degree burglary, Class C felonies. According to the arrest affidavit, Hodges fired several times at another 16-year-old in the home of 600 block in East 6th Street. According to the affidavit, one of the rounds struck the boy in the shoulder, requiring immediate medical attention. And how many hearings have we seen where a bullet enters the shoulder and comes out the chest, and it's a fatal wound, the shoulder or the neck? He is so lucky. Hodges said that he plans to take online classes to get caught up and graduate, and that he wanted to attend welding school. And this was something I saw before the hearing, and I didn't catch that he had done any of this. Did he get his high school diploma while he was locked up? Did they mention that? Maybe I missed it. Did he get a welding degree? This could just be problems with the Iowa prison system. He said that while he appreciated Hodges' comments, that there have been multiple attempts at the community service. So, you know, this wasn't his first rodeo, is what they're saying. You have not taken advantage of this, he said. You failed to abide by the rules of whatever adults are that you're residing with. The crime is clearly violent nature, where a gun was used in serious injury. So that was the sentence. But for the record, Sir Richard found this. They must have found DNA on a gun or something, because he has another felony that he picked up in 2022. He was already in prison. It wasn't something he did in prison, but it's something that they stuck him with for something he did in 2019 for an armed robbery. And basically it goes on to say that he was charged with first-degree robbery according to Scott court records. He and another person accused of striking someone with a firearm and stealing items on November 30th, 2019. So this is before his 2020 felony. The co-defendant was not identified in court documents. Hodges was booked in jail at 411 after being so they somehow tied that prior, assault to him and gave him another charge. So it is in his jacket. And on that note, my father-in-law was just recently robbed at gunpoint. He's driving home from a casino, and he stops at a light. It's 4 a.m. He's alone. He stops at a stop sign, and a car comes up behind him and taps him, a love tap. He thinks that the guy just rear-ended him. He gets out of the car to see the damage. 2 guys jump out of the car, their car, the ones that love tapped him. One charges at him with a gun, points it at his face. This is how and he says, "Give me your watch." He's wearing a Rolex. And my father-in-law, being, he's a big guy, 6'4", 260, 70 pounds. He's from like New York. He's like one of those guys. And he says no. And the guy has the gun to his face, and he says, "Give me your watch." And he says, "That gun's not even real." It's my father-in-law. The guy takes the gun and shoots down at the floor right on his foot and says, "It's real. Give me your watch." At that point, my idiot father-in-law grabs him by the wrist with one hand, grabs the gun with the other hand, and they start fighting over the gun. He tells me that the guy is maybe like 130 pounds soaking wet. My father-in-law is 6'4", 260 plus pounds or whatever. So he has complete control of the gun. The guy, while he's holding the gun down, shoots again. My father-in-law didn't realize this at the time, but the bullet ricocheted and actually hits his leg. So he's bleeding out of his leg. The second guy, and this all happened so quickly, but the second guy who was in the car runs up. What he had done is he had opened up the car door, took my father-in-law, took the keys out of the car, took the phone that was left in the car, and then came around and put the gun right to his head while he's struggling with it. He also had a gun. And at that point, thank God, my father-in-law saw what time it was, and they gave him the watch. He happened to have like cash on him from the casino, more than $5,000 on him. That they didn't take. They didn't take the wallet, but they took his car keys, they took his phone. He's left sitting there at the side of the road. He just lost his Rolex watch and his phone, and he can't get anywhere. He runs out of motorists. Because shots were fired, they sent detectives on the case. They're doing DNA because he has nail marks in his arms from the fight, so they had their blood. And but they said, realistically, he's like, "This ain't the movies," the detective was telling him. He's like, "It's going to be more than a year till we get the DNA back." And I imagine one day they will, these guys will be locked up for something else, and the DNA will hit. And like this case, I had a point where it's going to like this case, they'll just plea deal that assault charge, robbery charge, and it'll show up in their jacket. But they're not going to do trial or court over this. And no, this Rolex watch, I assume, who knows where it is. It probably pawned it someone, and that person probably sent it over to Russia, probably the next day if they were smart, right? Because you can track Rolexes. But it was a scary moment. We went out to dinner as a family the next week and had a dinner as a family to appreciate life. But not next week. It was a few weeks. We all traveled in to appreciate, life because it could have ended. And it's interesting, he didn't really get it. He's like, they were young, they were afraid of me, they wouldn't have shot me over a watch. And I said to him, I said, I cover this stuff all day, every day. There's no logic behind it. They could have shot you over the watch. They could have shot you over much less. You don't know what's going on, and you are lucky that the second guy didn't just pop you. We see it over much less all the time. And I'm not sure if he gets it yet or not, but I've spoken to him about it. He's still dealing with kind of like what he told me is going through his mind is all the what ifs. That's like his PTSD. What if this would have happened? What if I didn't get out of the car? What if? And it's interesting because I hear that so often while doing these parole hearings, but life is precious and it can change at an instant. And with that, I'll let you go.
He used to always say, he used to wake up in the morning, it'd be like a beautiful morning, even though I'm in prison. I keep my head up high. And I used to get mad when we say that. I'm like, man, we in prison, man. Why you keep saying that? Nobody want to hear that. And then over time, I ended up waking up, start saying, every morning, another beautiful morning in prison. I keep my head up high. And after a little while, I started understanding what he meant. It's just a blessing to be alive. You know what I mean? He has a life sentence. So for him to say that,
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to be mad about.